You are now listening to Sanity at the Movies, the Snyder Cut. It's going to be dark. It's going to be operatic. It's going to be... Flashy, yeah.
Homeric.
Yeah, it's going to be Homeric, impetuous. Homeric. It's going to be, to quote a movie that has nothing to do with anything. I would love to see the Snyder Cut of The Quiet Man, though. That would be awesome.
Yeah, be awesome.
The Quiet Man.
Oh.
Quiet Man just has the line, impetuous, Homeric. Watch John Wayne.
Old Irish man at a bar drinking during a fight.
Yep. But if we could see each drop
utters that line and
glistening.
It's epic in its own way.
It's actually when he sees the bed that was broken.
Oh,
but
right.
It's kind of a dirty joke. But
I forgot.
Anyway.
I knew there was a reason that line I knew there was more to that line sticking in my mind.
He comes to John Wayne and Maureen O'Hara's house the night after their wedding, and the bed is broken for whatever slapstick reason from the movie, and he sees the broken bed, and he says, impetuous, Homeric. And it's quite funny in its way. Now, speaking of quite funny, I'll tell you what's quite funny is the cleft in Zack Snyder's chin. I don't know. I'm trying to do a transition here, folks. You know what? Chapter 1. That's how you do a transition when you don't actually have a good transition that's written.
You just do a title card.
You just do a title
card change.
Chapter 1. Don't count on it, Solzer. Don't count on it, Ben.
I'm not.
No, I think you should count on it. Count on the fact that we're going to talk about Justice League, the Snyder Cut. Right. We're here, and my name is Nathan. I'm your humble and obedient host. Or maybe I'm the godlike figure that dominates all of podcast movie criticism with my Randian superiority. That could be possible too.
All right, I like it.
And we've got Ben. He likes to eat hot dogs in slow motion.
Yes, I do. Oh man, I just run really fast and push people. I really need friends.
It is true. It's kind of sad to see Ben run fast, push people.
Are you also slightly gay coded?
Maybe, but I have an awesome dad. And it's clear I like women.
Hey, well, Ben, why don't you introduce the third gentleman and tell us what his dark attribute is?
I run around in my underwear. I fight the Nazis.
Oh, yes.
It's not a pretty sight, folks. But those Nazis have been thoroughly fought.
Yes, indeed. Their blood is staining the floors.
the walls of the bank.
Our third interlocutor here is not even human anymore entirely. He's been rebuilt.
Mm-hmm.
And he's kind of a cyborg.
But I can fly.
Creature.
Yep.
That's only the tip of the tip, though, of the iceberg.
Right.
Of what you can do, Jake. If you set your mind to it, yeah, that's right.
If you could control all the world's finances or whatever it is that he can do.
All kinds of cool
anything,
stuff.
just plug into the internet and I'm Ultron.
Can we agree? Not Cybertron. What's his name?
Cyborg.
Cybertron's arc in this probably the most improved by the Snyder Cut.
But he hadn't.
I liked Cyborg.
He was a big empty zero in the
maybe instead of improved, I should say probably the most added existent. Well, guys, let's talk about the Snyder Cut. I guess we should give a little history. So not people probably know the history, but we should give our personal history. Ben, what is your relationship to the films of Zachary Edward Snyder and to the DC universe? And we've talked so much Marvel on this podcast and in the larger Warren, but we don't talk DC very much. So
no, we don't.
What is your relationship even to the DC canon in general?
Man, you're asking all kinds of big questions.
Yes, Nathan. That's right. Just like Zack Snyder.
They deserve big answers.
Yes, that's right.
Just like the Snyder Cut sized answers.
We don't want truncated answers with cheap Whedon-esque witticisms inserted in between. Man. We want the dark, serious, long answers.
Man.
And actually, what I'm going to have is some Icelandic maidens to sing to you, Ben. Sing to your glory.
Sing behind you.
And smell your sweater.
As I jump into the ocean after giving this speech about my relationship to DC.
Oh, man. When those Icelandic maidens sang to Aquaman, and then the one of them, the cute one in the front, smelled his sweater. That's when I knew I was watching a masterpiece of cinema.
See, it only works one direction, right? Barry saves Wonder Woman, falls awkwardly onto her. Whedon does that. Doesn't work.
Nope, it doesn't.
But if you smell Aquaman's sweater, that works.
Yep. And I think that's a pull quote from the episode. If you smell Aquaman sweater, it works. In fact, I think they should put that on the poster. Jake Menzel, Sanity at the movies. If you smell Aquaman sweater, it just works. All right, Ben, your big, bold answers to the questions.
Well, my first comment actually is not an answer. It's just a comment that you have to give Aquaman lots of cool stuff like that and lots of cool brooding slow motion water shots
because there's nothing to him.
Because if you don't, you're gonna not be able to forget all the time he gets his butt kicked during this movie as he fights the villain, which is anyway. He's cool. It works.
Hey, he's part of 3 people that participate in the demise of Darkseid.
It is true.
In one of the sillier moments from this.
Steppenwolf.
Sorry. I always
get confused.
Yeah,
but he actually, arguably, I know they gave the kill to Wonder Woman, but
still,
Steppenwolf wasn't coming back from being stabbed through with that trident, and he probably wasn't coming back from getting punched by
Superman. Oh man, Superman pummels.
I think they should have had. They should have added. As long as we're doing it, let's have what's his face, Flash, get a little Flash punch in there, and Batman can shoot him in the foot or something like that.
Flash is the friendlier.
Yeah, I think they gave the kill to the right people. I guess if you're going to enter into the spirit of the thing,
yeah.
Not that you necessarily should enter into the spirit of the thing, but if you are, I think they
maybe not
within the logic of the Zack Snyder verse.
Yeah,
you gave the kill to the right people.
Yeah.
So, Ben, anyway.
Back to your question. Let's see. I'm going to start from Snyder. I've only seen, out of all Snyder films until this film, I'd only ever seen Man of Steel.
Okay.
Which I don't know. I didn't see it in theaters. For whatever reason, I wasn't excited enough to watch it in theaters, despite all its visual coolness and the fun of getting to watch Superman punch a lot of people after getting to punch no one in Superman Returns. And so I watched it on DVD. And I was like...
Do you have some sympathy for it then?
I was like, this is kind of a fun movie. Also, it stinks. And it's dumb. And the villain is a total fail. And these action sequences may be visually amazing, but especially the final one with Zod is dull.
It goes on for a while.
It does, and it feels like there's no stakes, actually. So I didn't have a high opinion. I never saw Batman v Superman. I just watched that Batman ninja scene 15 times on YouTube.
Pretty great action scene, that
was pretty great. I didn't like Batman beating the crud out of Superman. Just felt
you didn't like the moment where Batman tore the toilet out of the stall and crashed it over Superman's head. You thought that was in poor taste?
It was in poor taste. It was mean-spirited. It was not very interesting.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I guess the final scene against whatchamacallit, Doomsday, was pretty fun.
Yeah.
Pretty cool, pretty ambitious. Superhero action movies could learn a thing or two from that scene, I dare say. So that's all. That's it for Snyder. And so he just remains a peripheral guy with a visual style that can be irritating and flashy, and who's not very good at telling stories. So that's him. And then DC. Let's see. I like Batman. I've read a lot of Batman.
You like Batman?
I like Batman. And I haven't read much but DC besides Batman. Here and there, a couple Justice League things, a couple of fun things. I think I've always been more of a Spider-Man guy, X-Men guy, other Marvel thing kind of guy, so far as I've read comics, which hasn't been for some years now. But DC is not as interesting. And the DC movies, I guess I've seen them. Seen a lot of Batman movies.
We all grew up with the Tim Burton and Joel Schumacher and all that good stuff.
All that good stuff. Grew up watching Superman 2, recorded from cable TV on a home video over and over and over.
Would that have been Lester or Donner?
That was Lester, yeah.
So it's just the one that came to theaters.
I've never seen the Donner cut. I've only seen, but that you finally get to see Superman beat other superpowered Kryptonians.
Yeah, that was state of the art
signs
in our childhood.
It was amazing. It was awesome. It's a terrible movie.
Yeah, I'm not sure how well it holds up, but it felt pretty cool back at the time.
Kneel before Zod. So all that stuff, I think that's about it.
By the way, as I always like to point out, everybody complained when Superman broke Zod's neck in Man of Steel. Superman kills the crap out of Zod in Superman 2.
But it felt like
weakens him and then throws him down a pit.
No pity. No pity.
No mercy.
But it felt like a more, what would you say, elegant somehow.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like, I embrace depravity.
Like he kneels before, puts out his hand, he crushes his hand, and then dun 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 dun. my hand, throws him against the wall, and down he goes into the abyss.
Yep.
It was pretty great.
I'll tell you what scene is in poor taste and is very Snyderian in that movie is when Superman bothers, once he's got his powers, to go back and beat up the redneck in the bar, just so our audience can have a little schadenfreude. I hate that scene. I think that's so anti-Superman. It's exactly like the stuff that everyone always complains about in the Snyderverse. Why is Superman being so personally vindictive and stuff?
Yeah.
But the movie is so silly and in its way inconsequential that you don't really care that much.
Yeah. Superman 2 is pretty gross, all things considered. There's a lot of stuff. There's Superman and Lois. But I guess that he shares that in common with the Snyderverse too, right?
Well, she had that pregnancy test in this particular version, which is... Snyder wanted to throw out as many sequel possibilities as he possibly could. The cynical.
Did you see what he said in the interview about that?
What did he say? I did not see this one.
It was awful.
His plan was he's got 2 or 3 he had 2 or 3 sequels planned. In the end, Batman was going to have to sacrifice himself, and then Lois and Clark's son was going to take up the Batman mantle.
Well, that's not all that happens. Batman and Lois become lovers for a little, and anyway, there's all this crap that he threw in.
That was going to happen.
Yeah, and it was like, this stinks.
Yeah, well, Snyder, not the most tasteful of gentlemen, but we'll talk about that.
Sure.
Jake, your history with Snyder, your history with DC.
My history with Snyder is Man of Steel was my first Snyder movie I ever saw. I've never seen Watchmen. I've never seen 300. I'm not sure I knew that Dawn of the Dead was a Snyder joint until I just looked up on IMDb his oeuvre to be sure that there wasn't something I'd seen, didn't know about.
Not a big Sucker Punch fan.
Not a Sucker Punch fan, never seen it. So, Man of Steel was my first run at Snyder, and I hated that movie. I felt betrayed by it because I have a deep love for Christopher Reeve's Superman.
Mm-hmm.
And it's personal, and it doesn't matter all the dark, dumb things that actually do happen in those movies. Superman's the kind of guy who rescues cats from trees. So
whether you like everything that they do, there's so many things you can make fun of in those movies, but those movies do, at the end of the day, believe in Superman.
Right.
Which Zack Snyder does not believe in Superman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They believe in Superman as somebody who embraces truth, justice, in the American way.
Right.
Yeah. Campy here and dorky there, and disturbingly dark once you think about it there, but that's the Superman they present.
And cheeky. Like, you rescued the girl's cat from the tree, she's still going to catch a beating for lying from her parents. So I don't know what that says, but actually they do that joke a couple times in those Superman movies. They really like that joke. But yeah, those movies are just fun, and they believe in Superman.
And Snyder didn't, and I hated him for it.
To be fair, also Christopher Nolan didn't. Because Christopher Nolan was an executive producer. He helped write the script for Man of Steel. He's produced all these things. He helped with the Snyder Cut. This was Christopher Nolan trying to do for Superman
what he did for Batman.
Yep. And it's very much his take on the material. So if you Dark Knight and all that, you kind of have to reckon with, well, this is the same
monster that you created.
Creative genius doing this with Superman.
Well,
yeah, clearly in his sequel plans, they're all about Superman giving into darkness and having to be brought back. That's all that it is.
Yeah, they hate the idea of Superman. They just want to prove that if an alien like that actually lived among us and tried to be our savior, he would hardcore fail and everything would be terrible. And
you'd always wonder if he was going to turn around and kill everyone.
Right. And there'd be all these existential questions, right? They cannot allow themselves to believe that it would be cool to have a space savior come.
Yeah.
If I can speak
Space
about
Moses.
Well,
that's what
exactly.
The creators wouldn't have likened him to Jesus. They would have likened him to Moses.
Right. Because they were a couple of Jewish boys.
Yep. Space Moses is not somebody that they're excited about.
No, Moses in general, and indeed Jesus is not somebody that they're excited about. They just don't believe in heroes, except for of a specific sort, and we can talk about that. So that's your history with Snyder.
Yeah.
You love Superman.
Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice too. So.
And I did talk you into watching the Ultimate Cut of that.
Talked me into buying the Ultimate Cut of that because it's the only way to watch it.
Hey, it's pretty good though.
It was a vast improvement.
Pretty good might be a strong term for what it is, but it is It is a coherent.
I was
and
glad to have
interesting
watched
movie.
it. I didn't hate the version as much as the theatrical cut.
Well, and
It
does a lot to actually address your Man of Steel concerns, because in the director's cut of Batman v Superman, Superman actually is pretty likable and pretty.
Really?
Yeah.
There's still a lot of Snyder gloom and doom, but Superman gets the chance to. There's a lot of Clark Kent investigating and trying to figure out who Batman is, which means you just get a light sort of Clark Kent subplot, which really goes a long way towards making, as opposed
Him
to
likable.
watch you bleed, Batman. You have that stuff too,
Yeah.
but
So yeah, that's my Snyder history.
you're more of a Superman guy than a Batman guy.
Yeah, although it's arguably both. I definitely am more, at least as a kid, a DC guy than a Marvel guy. I never watched Spider-Man stuff or X-Men stuff. Never got into any of that. I was never into comic books, but I loved the campy Batman from the 60s. I was Robin for Halloween once as a kid. So I grew up with the Christopher Reeve's Superman. My first movie drive-in experience was seeing the very first Batman,
1989, Tim Burton.
Tim Burton Batman,
Mhm.
with Michael Keaton. So that's left an indelible mark on me. So, and then all those other dumb movies. Yeah, and in 1989, I was 5 years old.
The
And yes.
indelible mark of Batman.
But yeah, that's the thing that, so very much grew up with Batman and Superman, and Marvel heroes were dumb, but didn't grow up with them enough to, have any comic books or anything like that. Batman the Animated Series, one of my favorite cartoon shows of all time.
Yeah, no, that's great.
So that factors in too. Little after school indulgence. And Superman tied just directly to dad and daddy issue type things for me. So I loved that jerk's Superman Returns for no reason. It's a terrible movie, but
It's not that terrible, is it?
it's pretty bad.
I'd be interested to go back and relitigate that one day.
I
but
liked it a lot.
I haven't seen it since it came out. Yeah.
I haven't wanted to see it again. It has a lot of things going for it.
It was just the right movie at the right time to process a bunch of griefs of my childhood and my parents divorcing and that sort of thing.
Yeah, and I think if you go to Sound of Sanity podcast Mach 1, you can find some episode within the first 10 called Something Something Superman, where you can hear us tell a lot of these stories more fully.
Yeah.
And talk about Superman as a symbol for fatherhood and what he's meant for us and all this sort of thing.
Yeah. Apart from, so I've always been really resistant to dorky comic book anything. I didn't jump into the Marvel universe until the Avengers movie was going to be huge, and then I dipped my toes in after enough people told me to. I didn't watch the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies until the second or third one had already come out. Like, I just slow to adopt anything like that. Tolkien verse, same story. Had friends. I just was slow to adopt any of that stuff. Suspicious of it. Thought it was dorky. Whatever. That was never true of Batman or Superman, though. Batman or Superman are going to hit the theaters. I'm going to go see Superman Returns in theaters and that sort of thing. So, which all just set me up for, massive disappointment when Man of Steel came out. And I've seen, as far as the DCEU goes.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen it all except for Birds of Prey, if that counts. So
You've seen both. Suicide Squad?
I've seen Suicide Squad.
Suicide Squad was just a big zero. Nothing interesting.
So bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw Suicide Squad. I've seen both Wonder Woman movies and Aquaman. And
I've seen Aquaman.
If there's two movies, then they're Wonder Women movies.
I still haven't seen the plural works. Woman.
But I'm a fan of that way of pluralizing Wonder Woman. If you're talking about the series, it's the Wonder Women's. The
Wonder Woman series.
The Wonder Woman series.
Anyhow, so I don't know. That's baggage. I was prepared to thoroughly hate the Snyder cut.
And you and I saw the Whedon cut together.
Did we? Oh, yes.
I think
Let's not talk about that.
Yeah,
I never have.
Yeah. I think with your long-suffering wife in tow, and because my girlfriend wasn't around at the time. I think she existed and was my girlfriend, but I think maybe she wasn't in town. So, yeah, we had to sit through that thing, and yeah, it was lame. So, okay. My history with these characters. I always loved Batman. I read Batman comics. If there's any nerds out there, I was reading it around the time of the big DC event called the Cataclysm. I think it was called the Cataclysm, where there was a big earthquake in Gotham and multiple characters died and lives were rejiggered and they hit the reset button on some things. I think I gave up around that time, which would have been my 11th or 12th grade. But I read Frank Miller. I read a lot of the famous runs of Batman from the years. I also loved the Batman campy 1960s TV show. Mm-hmm. Anything Batman was really, he's always cool. I still think he's cool. He's just always been cool. He is my hero, my superhero, my myth that I love. And something that those Lego Batman movies and stuff, when they make fun of, I'm Batman, I'm dark, all that stuff. I am the fan that
gets a little offended.
Well, yeah, I deserve it because I suppose because I am the garbage incel red pill jerk whose daddy didn't love him, who just wanted to take revenge in the world and therefore resonated with a dark, brooding millionaire in a cave, plotting the doom and gloom of all the people that done him wrong. But there's a reason that these things are our modern day primal sort of myths, and there's a reason Batman works, and I don't think we have to interrogate it too much. Everybody loves Batman on some level. And it's not just about darkness and vengeance. It is just about the toys, the paraphernalia, the iconography, the big light,
and the I am Iron Man of it all.
Yeah.
Too. Some of it is just
the millionaire of it, the billionaire.
The millionaire of it, the billionaire of it. And that thing they say is actually Batman is the most powerful hero in the DC universe because given enough time, he can figure out how to beat anybody.
Right. And I loved that specifically. I loved the fact that
he's a normal guy, except he's scary smart.
Well, and this does play to schoolyard feelings, right? There's the person who, like Superman, has just been gifted with good looks and muscles. And there's the jocks that I hate. But then there's somebody like me who I'd like to think, if given enough time, could
plot the demise of the jocks.
Plot their demise. So Batman does...
Without them ever seeing it coming or knowing you were the one actually behind it all.
Right. So Batman does play to those feelings very well. And I remember as early as I was aware of these, able to self-examine on any level, I remember being aware of the fact that I liked Batman because he was human. I liked him because he was smart. And I liked him because he had to use his wits and he didn't just have superpowers. That was one of the things that made Batman the coolest hero. Superman is so unlimited in what he can do with his breath, with his eyes, with his X-ray vision. It's just like,
it's pretty lame.
It's there's just, unless somebody gets a hold of kryptonite.
He's invincible.
Yeah, which, by the way, another strike against Superman, that stupid kryptonite song in my high school.
Oh.
Hey, baby, would you still call me Superman?
3 Doors Down.
Yeah. I hated that song.
So you had to count it against Superman?
Yeah.
Because there's a dorky band called 3 Doors Down?
Yep. Yep, I'm Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor. I hate Superman, not because of anything he's done, but just because of what he represents, Jake. So, yeah, Batman's my dude. I love Batman. And I liked those Tim Burton movies, and I hated the Joel Schumacher movies, and I appreciated the Christopher Nolan movies when they came out. I think I just fall in line with the Batman faithful. There's not a generic opinion that the internet has about Batman that I don't probably pretty much agree with. I'm just a big Batman guy. Other than that, never read any Superman, didn't care, never read any Marvel. Batman really was I think I read some of the snobbier stuff. I read Watchmen. I read some of the things that were known for being Alan Moore stuff, the higher end of comic book, around the time that we had to start calling them graphic novels. Like
Alan Moore wrote one of the best Joker stories ever, The Killing Joke.
Yeah, I read that. I read League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, things that I probably wouldn't recommend at this point.
No way.
But
some of these things are things that have always sounded cool to me, but I've never bothered with any of them. The Killing Joke, All-Star Superman, a couple others that if you said them, I would. Well, I know that name.
Well, I've thought about having us do them for the bookening before. For example, Watchmen, you could argue that it ranks as a great 80s novel, but it is just so explicitly sexual. That's the problem with a lot of Alan Moore's stuff, even The Killing Joke. If you don't want to put up with images, actual drawings of naked people, then you really can't read this stuff. So
Alan Moore is sophisticated and extremely perverted.
yeah.
It's just so perverse. I don't know.
So I remember really liking the Frank Miller sort of vibe, the Dark Knight. If people don't know, Frank Miller had in the 80s a really famous run on Daredevil, and then he did Batman, and he's kind of the person that's responsible for in a lot of ways.
Is all in black. He's super brooding and
for bringing the adult sensibility back, because that 60s show had really influenced the way that people thought about not just Batman, but comic books in general. And we've got to go on our next zany adventure, Robin. And
dopey, campy, bright colors.
Frank Miller brought it into the at the time the 80s, the modern era, with angst and brooding and violence.
That's who Burton's riffing off of.
Yeah, absolutely. Tim Burton's just doing a lot of that stuff. But certainly Frank Miller's the person who kind of gave everyone else permission, like comic books are for adults now, which really just means they're for brooding teenage boys that like violence.
Right. That's right. Yeah.
They're not actually for adults, as I found out when I actually became an adult. Oh, this isn't very interesting. But it certainly feels interesting compared to the 60s Batman show, the idea of Batman. So Frank Miller is kind of an important person to know if you care about this stuff, I guess, because Zack Snyder's specifically riffing on a lot of the iconography, the suit with the green eyes from the anti-Superman suit. That's just that he uses in Batman v Superman. That is just a Frank Miller drawing come to life.
Which is pretty cool.
Which is cool. Yeah. Yeah. And Frank Miller was a great artist and also a weird misogynist and just
all kinds of things.
I'm surprised he hasn't been canceled, and maybe for all I know, he has been. He also did 300, which Zack Snyder famously adapted.
And he did Sin City.
And he did Sin City,
disgusting.
And all of it is just women are stupid, except for when they're giving themselves freely to you for sex, and punching the crap out of people who are weaker than you is awesome. And if you can be brooding about how it makes you feel alive when you hear the crunch of bones, and you can have little narration bubbles where you say things like that, then so much the better. So it's pretty adolescent and pretty inane in retrospect, but boy, did it seem cool when I was 12, when I was an adolescent.
Dark Knight Returns is a really fun action comic. It's is what it is.
And that's the one where he beats Superman, and
that's right. It's high time, Clark. Someone taught you what it meant to be a man.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
He beats the crap out of Superman for his own good. Yeah.
And then he says, I want you to remember that I'm the one who beat you. I want you to remember it was me. It's just what Lego Batman staccato delivery. That's how Frank Miller writes, except for without the benefit of any sort of parody or self-knowledge.
It's really retarded.
It is.
But it was really fun.
So that's my history with Batman and with comic books in general. I also read a lot of Tintin. I guess that tells you something. But I have, I guess, for whatever stupid reason, seen a lot of Zack Snyder's work without ever enjoying any of it. I think I was just probably enough of a movie guy back in the early 2000s when Snyder hit the scene that I was just seeing everything that was making a splash. And so I saw that Dawn of the Dead, which is pretty zombie disgusting, but very cleverly done. Hated 300. I really despised that movie. I was excited for it. I thought,
didn't see it.
But it is just everything that Nathan despises. It's humorless. It's so self-satisfied and self-serious.
Which is Frank Miller.
It's accurate, but it's also Gladiator was a laugh fest compared to 300. I mean, 300 just thinks that 300 is so cool. And it's basically the same thing that is going to dog Snyder through what we're about to talk about. I don't know why I liked it. I think I was able to maybe add my own element of parody or of irony or something to this viewing of Justice League Snyder Cut that just, I was just able to embrace it as a camp masterpiece or something like that.
Well, yeah. If you come to it with absolutely zero expectations that it's going to be anything good, then
it's kind of awesome.
It's just kind of awesome.
Right.
Get yourself a nice glass of whiskey or a glass of wine and
really a brewski, I think.
No, it is kind of awesome.
No, it requires something stronger.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe like a shot of Evan Williams or something. You don't want your nice whiskey for this.
Well, it more than any other
Make
comic
a Boilermaker
book movie,
if you need to.
Yeah.
I can think of it paints like all the pictures that you see when you open a crazy, wacky Justice League thing. There's all these colors and scenes and everything from space to underwater. Every color you can imagine. Everyone wearing every costume that you can imagine. All the laser beams going. Snyder's like, yeah, I'm going to put all that in the movie.
In that sense, it's the closest thing to The Mandalorian that I've seen.
Where it's like, we're just going to do the highlights of Star Wars. Like,
we're doing only the cool things about Star Wars.
We're not adapting the stories. We're adapting the iconography.
Exactly.
That's right.
And so this movie is just like, we're just going to do a bunch of cool stuff over and over again.
In that respect, visually, it's anti-Nolan.
Right.
Oh, yeah. And I hate Nolan's visual sense, and I love Snyder. Well, let me just finish talking about Snyder real quick, and then we can just get into this because we're ready. We're ready and raring to go. So I'm trying to remember if I've actually liked a Snyder movie. Oh, yeah. I actually really liked Man of Steel. I thought it had some dumb stuff. Like the whole Kevin Costner plot just didn't even make any sense. Son, I want you to hide yourself, and I'm willing to die for our family's dog. A, I'm willing to die for our family's dog. And B,
I'm a farmer from Kansas, and I'm willing to die for our family's dog.
Yeah, because for some reason, this farmer from Kansas has the same values as a cheap Hollywood socialite like Deborah Snyder. I'm going to blame it on her, Zach's wife. I have no idea whether that's fair, but I'm going to say it was a woman that came up with that idea. Yeah, and then the fact that Kevin Costner is like, you get to choose who you could. Here's like some sub Anne Rindian, almost sounds like Brad Bird's Incredibles crap philosophy about choosing what you get to be. It just doesn't make any sense. Nothing about Kevin Costner's philosophy in that movie makes sense. But I love the spectacle of that movie. I actually, if you can just divorce, and Jake couldn't do this, and I don't blame him for it. But if you can if you can say this isn't a Superman movie, it's just a movie about a mixed up alien that came to Earth and has to try and do his best, and he's dogged.
And he's got real daddy issues.
And the S stands for hope.
Yeah, and the S stands for hope. Okay, a lot of stupid stuff. Anytime where it tries to mix Snyder's version of the S stands for Snyder. Actually, anytime it tries to double back and be like, I'm just a Superman movie, it's dumb. But as this is what
it's all Warner's fault.
Yeah, I know, but.
Yes, Zach has made the case.
In the places where
if you don't like it, it's because it's Warner Brothers.
No, it's because it's Zack Snyder. I think he had free reign on that one, but because he hadn't yet lost the confidence with Batman versus Superman. But in the places like that whole last scene, I kind of love it because the Avengers movies are ultimately so bloodless and so collateral damage. Just having some dork like Zack Snyder be like, okay, what would it be like if two super beings went at it? It would level Manhattan or Cosmopolis or whatever. Metropolis. Like, there's nothing. Now, Superman as a moral character, should he have taken that fight to the moon? Yeah, of course he should. I hate the fact that Superman doesn't care more.
Yeah.
But I love the idea of collateral damage. The only fix that movie needs is it needs Superman to be trying to prevent the damage.
That's all that needs to happen. That's all he needed to do. And that is what Marvel gets right. And Whedon turned around and mocked the crap out of that in Age of Ultron, like within 6 months or a year of that, right?
And that movie has so much.
It has tons of collateral damage in it. And yet, all that matters is that Cap and everybody are like, we care about every single person on this rock. And it might have to be incinerated. Well, we're not leaving and letting all these people die. Who says we're leaving? If they die, we die. That's not a question.
In that movie, they talk about that. They talk about that. But they also say lines of dialogue, which at length, which I think are just direct jabs at Man of Steel.
100% jabs. Yeah. That made me feel at the time. validated. I didn't care that it was a hack jab at Man of Steel because I was still aggressive towards it.
No, I think that's fair. But to do Snyder a little bit of credit, he does actually. I would not rank self-awareness as high on the list of Zack Snyder's virtues, but I think he has enough commercial awareness, at least. I would rank that very high on his list of virtues, that he knows how to self-correct a little bit. So Batman versus Superman deals with the issue, not in a particularly good way, but it does try to deal with the issue of the collateral damage, with that being Batman's whole motivation. And the quite good scene at the beginning where the best scene in the movie, where Bruce Wayne is just in his duds, dressed as Bruce Wayne, and just devastated by the damage that
everybody's running away, he's running in.
Yeah, and he shoots it from low down on the ground. It feels like 9/11. That's the iconography of it, and it's great. It's really powerful stuff. Some of the most,
and he's scared and angry.
Mm-hmm. Zack Snyder doesn't bother giving Batman any more motivation than that, which is one of the things that feels weird about the movie, but it also kind of works. Like, oh, this guy leveled a city. Like
these are the people that I have spent my life trying to love and protect, and all of a sudden these aliens show up and massacres half of my city.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've put my life, my money, my everything on the line to protect these people.
Yep.
And it's not just my city, it's my own employees.
Well, and what that movie got right about Batman, and then something that I genuinely responded to as a kid about Batman, is, especially in the animated series, which I loved and watched also, one of the attributes of Batman is that he is a patriarch. He is a city father. As Bruce Wayne and as Batman, he is always, I think in the best versions, and in the versions that I really latched onto as a kid, he's always portrayed as more close to being 40, less close to being 20. Right. And he's older than you see yourself. If you're going to imagine yourself at all, you're going to imagine yourself in the Robin role, or, they have to give him sidekicks and stuff, because we're not Batman. And that's one of the crucial distinctions that people make between Marvel and DC. And I think it's true. And I think Zack Snyder does, in his weird, stupid way, understand this. DC is about heroes who are better than us, who are other than us, who are bigger than us, who are above us. Marvel is always, their whole trick is, they're just like us. Superman's just a wisecracking, or Spider-Man's just a wisecracking kid from the Bronx or Brooklyn or Manhattan or wherever he comes from. And Iron Man he's got all the same problems. That is Stan Lee's big contribution to the genre, is they've got the same problems and the same spats and the same weaknesses. But
they feel a burden of responsibility because they have such great power.
Right. And so when Cap and Tony are feuding, that's the kind of fight that you have with your brother, and we all get it. And it's wonderful. I like that about Marvel. I don't think Marvel should change that. But
no, stay leaning into it. It's sweet. And
yeah, that's what you want from a Marvel thing. But what you want from a DC thing is, oh, I could never be Batman. I'm not Superman. These guys are Greek gods that walk among us, and they are bigger than us. They're better than us. They're not peers. They are fathers or mothers to us. And that is something that Zack Snyder, in his perverse Snyderian way,
even when you get to some of the, Cap or Hulk, you could never be the Hulk, but I don't know, you could get bitten by a radioactive spider or exposed to gamma radiation, but you could never be an alien born on Krypton.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And the things that you could argue,
you're not from an ancient tribe of goddesses.
And somehow Batman, just through the synthesis of everything that makes him Batman, his money, his trauma, his, you need all those things to combine to create this unique individual.
Yeah, your parents didn't leave you a massive inheritance when they were murdered.
Right. Exactly. Marvel's just always leaning into what's the human angle on this? How would a real person respond? And DC just doesn't care. And I think that's how it should be. And I think that's the distinction between the two companies and the 2 points of view.
I think you should split the difference. Why do we fall, Bruce? Why do we fall?
It's what we do that defines us.
Yeah, Bruce is just like you and me. It's what we do that defines us, Nathan.
Well, Nolan does his best, but obviously you need Batman to be your hero, and you need some angle on him, and you need some sympathy for him.
You do.
Well, and it's the angle that you took on Batman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
when you gave your context.
Yeah. It's true. But I did always like the fact that Batman could be seen as above, as a protector, as a father figure, as
Yeah. I agree. I like Nolan trying, actually. I don't think he succeeded, but I don't mind him trying that.
Another Batman figure that I like is Michael Keaton, who seems completely broken and neurotic, and he's intentionally played as a weirdo by Tim Burton, who is a weirdo, but also the figure of Batman in those two movies is completely other. Batman's probably in Batman Returns for 20 minutes or something like that. Like, the movie is famously not really about Batman as a person. It's about Batman as a symbol, Batman as an icon, Batman as a force. And the best Batman stories often are like that. Even something like Dark Knight, it's more about what did the symbol of Batman create in this society, and how do people respond to it, and how does it bring the Joker out, and what do you do about it? And at the end, that is what I think Nolan was going for with that dopey speech that Jim Gordon gives. Like, it doesn't really matter who Bruce Wayne is. It's about who Batman is. What Batman is, more accurately speaking. So anyway, I guess that's the end of my baggage. Is that where we are? Oh, I was saying I liked Man of Steel as far as it went. Didn't think it was a good Superman movie. Thought it was an interesting movie. Batman versus Superman was a big, boring mess.
Yeah, it was terrible.
But I did enjoy Martha. That's so stupid. But it did turn into fun camp at the end. I was laughing by the time that when Batman was getting a toilet and bashing it over Superman's head. This is so thoroughly tasteless and mean-spirited that, okay, I can enjoy this. You hack, Zack. More like hack Snyder.
And I was too disgusted by it. It's like, why are you going to do that?
Oh, okay.
Like,
I'm sorry.
Telling me this is so serious, and then you're going to do something that, like the weird, the weird admixture of meanness and petty and camp and
visual splendor.
Yeah,
it's like it's unpleasant.
Self-importance, like all of it is just like.
And the story didn't make any sense, and there wasn't. But lo and behold, you watch the director's cut, and
it does make more sense, and it does work much better.
And there's some really bad takes, but at least they're consistent. Like his version of Lex Luthor, I hate. I think as Eisenberg was completely capable of giving a great performance as Luthor, but the way that
isn't he supposed to be like Lex Luthor Jr. or something?
He should be, because
I think he actually is like. I think. Should I look this up real quick?
If that feels like a fan, a headcanon thing for fans that helps them be okay with this crappy rendition of Luthor.
You may be right, but
hey, that is one thing that your boy's Bryan Singer got right. He's got the best. Kevin Spacey, another canceled individual, is the best Lex Luthor that I think cinema has given us.
Wait, who is?
Kevin Spacey.
Oh, yeah. Kevin Spacey was great.
He's perfect. He was born for that role.
Yeah.
Gene Hackman cashed a paycheck, and those old, he's fun, but their conception of Lex Luthor isn't that great in the Christopher Reeve Superman movies, in my humble opinion. Kevin Spacey comes the closest to actually being scary and intellectual and all the things that you want from Lex Luthor. What did you got, Jake?
Whatever I remember reading or seeing appears to be garbage, and probably some loser's headcanon to make sense of it.
You can understand why some loser would have that headcanon, because that Lex Luthor sucks. That being said, he's a pretty... It seems
to come from the fact that... Oh, no. So, okay. It is true that he is Lex Luthor Jr., in that his father is the founder of LexCorp, and he inherited it. And they had a shared obsession of kryptonium, the two of them. So I don't know how that relates, but maybe that was always Luthor's canon.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. Well, I love Lex Luthor as a villain. He's always been a fun villain, but I don't know that the movies have generally done him justice. And certainly Zack Snyder's Justice League, or Batman v Superman, does him no justice. He's a terrible character in that. But in the director's cut, at least he's his plot makes sense, and a lot of things make sense. And Superman is a nicer guy and a little bit more of a savior, and it all makes sense and is okay. Yeah, so that was the only thread I was pulling on. My ultimate point, though, was that Zack Snyder knows how to, actually does have some commercial ability to self-correct And you can see in Zack Snyder's Justice League, in the scenes that were already shot before he went back, he was going for a lighter tone, more humor, more hero moments. Barry Allen actually we didn't cut this out, but Barry Allen actually gets to save a girl in a crash, and Superman and Wonder Woman has the dumb, misconceived, but still an attempt at a human kind of save moment. Can I be like you? And murder the crap out of you can be whatever you want to be. But bad moment, not tasteful, but you can see Snyder was trying to listen to people who didn't want everything to be as grim, dark, and stupid. So yeah, so this is all leading to my argument, which is that I think Justice League is actually Zack Snyder correcting some of the faults of his first two attempts, and coming up with a consistent and somewhat more appealing version of the same old Zack Snyder stuff.
It's not somewhat more appealing. It's the most appealing thing I've ever seen.
Just period. Like more than your wife.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
More than...
I definitely didn't mean from Zack Snyder specifically.
You just meant...
I meant just in general.
Just this is the...
You should really give a little more
If context. I could marry it.
You could be... Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Sorry, Amanda. No, that was a joke, folks. You meant the most appealing thing from Zack Snyder.
I have had... Until I watched the Snyder cut of Justice League, I've had zero desire to go back and watch Man of Steel or Batman v Superman or anything else. Once has always been enough for everything in this DCEU until the Snyder cut, and I'm pretty tempted to go back and watch Man of Steel and Batman v Superman and the Snyder cut all again.
You would have to watch the Snyder cut of Batman v Superman.
Yes, I would. But remember, I bought it,
right.
So...
And it's too bad there's not a Whedon cut of Man of Steel, because then you'd have 3 good movies.
But yeah, I don't know.
Well, let me give just a tiny bit of context about Zack Snyder before we really get going, because I think it's kind of interesting, and you guys might actually be able to help me if there's something I want to figure out about him. So Zack Snyder is a guy who went to California movie schools, same one that Michael Bay went to, whatever it was called. He's just a guy who came of age and moved to Pasadena to become a filmmaker, and then directed commercials, Budweiser commercials and things through the 90s, and developed his visual style, and then got his big break with his Dawn of the Dead remake, and has been doing his Zack Snyder thing ever since. He definitely, like Michael Bay, some of these guys, seems to live the aesthetic of that he believes in. You see him and he's always dressed like Bruce Wayne is in this movie, with the really classy, I don't know what the brand is, but he's got the colorful vest and the $200 shirt, and that's his look usually, is jacketless, but a vest and a button-down shirt and $300 pair of pants. And
but not Tony Stark colorful, like dark, right?
But there's dark purples and some about what I think you see Bruce wear in a couple scenes.
Sleeves rolled up, showing his tats.
Yeah, sleeves rolled up, showing his tats. Zack Snyder famously, for 300, had Gerard Butler and all those guys do the low carb. He wanted them to have the best bodies of all time for this comic book thing. And so he did the regimen with them because...
Yeah, and he trains famously. One of the legends of Snyder is that when the MMA guys are on set, he does the stuff with whoever, and that's not just 300, that's everything else. He does the workouts with the people and the stuff.
Yeah, you watch him, he's a bro, he's a dude. He might be a dude bro, one might even say. He's also a wonder. He and his wife, Deborah Snyder, his producing partner and wife, they're a wonderful set of producer type people, in that spiels about how wonderful it was working with...
People like to work for them, or like to talk about how they like working
right
or with them.
Interesting.
And they're just really good salespeople. You can imagine being in a pitch meeting with... If Zack Snyder came in to sell you his version of Man of Steel, he'd have a pitch and it would be dynamic, and he'd tell you why this was going to change the industry, and why we're going to do 300 and we're going to do it all green screen, and it's going to be CGI, and it's going to be the next logical... You can just imagine him giving that pitch and it being really compelling. Here's the question I want to explore very briefly with you guys because I don't know a lot about Christian Science. But Zack Snyder comes from parents who were
Christian Scientists.
Christian scientists. I know that they believe in sin and disease are illusions, and we conquer these through like the power of our thought or something like this. Is my stereotype of Christian Science, at least.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm wondering what it is about, because Zack Snyder himself says that Christian Science influenced his. What he actually says is that Christian Science combined with Star Wars, and specifically Star Wars as filtered through Christian Science, influenced a lot of his sense of the numinous of the spiritual realm of what our bodies are, what our matter is. He says, because I was a Christian Scientist, when I saw Star Wars, I was ready to feel that movie almost as sacred.
Well, I think so in Christian Science, God is more like an energy force or just absolute reality, but not personal. So that's sort of like the Star Wars force. And then you have the idea that disease is an illusion caused by evil thoughts, and you should correct those evil thoughts by having right thoughts, and that will cure disease.
Now, you call it prayer, but it's really just about the power of the mind over the body.
You actually,
That's
I'm
right.
remembering something. You don't actually talk to God in prayer, right? Don't you? You basically have a conversation with yourself or something like that? Or, I mean, I'd be getting that perfectly correct, but
I don't know. It's very much just at the end of the day, it's very much about power of mind over body, I think.
Yeah.
And so
I don't know entirely what that has to do with. Snyder has the exact same thing that all these comic book metaphysics have, which is, these mother boxes are a form of computing. So advanced, it's like sorcery. And
I am so tired of that cliche from the Marvels.
It's so irritating.
Mm-hmm.
So everything really is, I don't know, everything is just material, and everything's a matter of mind over matter.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing spiritual really to get to. There's just a matter of mastering reality. Does that help? Is that related?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a thesis statement about
I don't know.
Snyder's Christian Science. I just thought it was kind of interesting.
I'm just trying to put it together.
If I had to guess, without doing any research, I just assumed that Zack Snyder was a big fan of Ayn Rand, because that whole sort of Brad Bird did the cute version in Incredibles. Mm-hmm. If you're exceptional, then you should be exceptional, as opposed to...
Well, if you look at his IMDb page, he's got The Fountainhead as his next project. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
there you go.
There you go. Well, it doesn't take a lot of imagination to see the connection there. Mm-hmm. Only he's less altruistic than the Incredibles are, because if you really are better, then a certain amount of horrific collateral damage is to be expected in any encounter.
And how can people really complain?
You would have done the same, Wanda.
Yeah, I guess it is that.
Or Monica.
But you know what?
Yeah.
I actually, in this particular movie, like in Man of Steel, it just feels like a miscalculation. It feels like Snyder doesn't know how grotesque it is for Superman to be knocking down these buildings. In this movie, it feels like Zack Snyder knows exactly what he's doing, and he knows exactly how far to push the envelope, and he knows exactly how grotesque he wants it to be. So he wants you to feel just a little bit shocked by the bloodstains that Wonder Woman leaves in her wake when she's creaming those guys. He wants you to feel, she could have disarmed that guy, but instead she blew up half of this historic London building and maybe blew up that guy too. I don't know. We leave that ambiguous, but
it didn't feel that ambiguous.
His hat's going to come floating down.
Yeah. After half the wall is gone. Yeah, no, that's interesting. I don't know what that has to do with Christian Science.
Yeah, probably nothing to do with Christian Science, just to do with Zack Snyder, who loves that. One of the moments from 300, which Frank Miller wrote, but which I think is the kind of thing Zack Snyder resonates with. There's the crippled guy, the hunchback, and he wants to be on the 300 team. And in normal movie logic, this guy would be the Rudy character. But in Zack Snyder world and in Frank Miller world, this guy is thoroughly rejected, told he should have been thrown into the pit when he was a kid.
Childhood
he has nothing to add to Sparta because his body is broken. And then the guy goes and betrays them to Xerxes, and he's just he just becomes one of the villains of the piece, because we're not trying to sympathize with some crippled guy that can't be as cool as Leonidas. The fates gave Leonidas his awesome 300 power. They didn't choose this guy. This guy's a chump. He just needs to get out of the way.
Yeah.
Zack Snyder loves that idea. And I don't know whether he loves it because he thinks he's special. I guess everybody loves that
Absolutely, he thinks he's special.
idea. Right.
Mm-hmm. Self-actualization.
But also, he just loves to make people force feed them the bitter pill of reality.
Yeah, he loves a bit.
Actually, when it comes down to it, only the strong survive. And actually, when it comes down to it, it's pretty romantic and stupid to think that this guy would have anything to add in this final battle.
Yeah. Well, he even does it to the extent that I think Whedon gives Batman a few more things to do in the final battle, but Zack Snyder is not that interested. Like once the gods really start beating the crap out of each other,
Batman's going to struggle and maybe take out a parademon or two while everybody else has to fight.
Yeah, we give Batman enough to do. We don't short sell Batman, but there's no way that Batman's being part of the final blow to Steppenwolf. Like that's just not who Batman is. He's not that cool. There's only one person that's that cool, and it's Wonder Woman. Can I just say, as someone who's gone on the record as who hates feminism and hates feminist action scenes in particular, Snyder does understand how to make the character and particularly the athleticism of Wonder Woman actually really work on screen in a way that Patty Jenkins has no clue. Mm-hmm. Patty Jenkins stages so many things where you're just like, oh yeah, Gal Gadot has no upper body strength. She couldn't do that. Mm-hmm. Zack Snyder,
nope.
It never matters.
No, he's better at it than Joss Whedon too.
Oh yeah, no, he's the best in the business. The Wonder Woman stuff in Batman v Superman is great too. He knows how to make that give her a fighting style that works
and makes sense.
Yeah, which is basically to just have her zip around real fast and
use a sword
and a shield.
She has weapons other people don't.
Yep. And she zips and body slams, and then we speed ramp a little bit, which I think, I haven't done my research, but I feel like Zack Snyder introduced the annoying cliche of speed ramping to modern cinema. I can't think of a lot of movies that did it before 300, which by speed ramping, if you don't understand what I'm saying, folks, I just mean where something's in super slow motion and then it goes in fast motion and then it goes in slow motion again, all in the same shot, as opposed to doing it with a cut.
Feels like Sam Raimi may have done that.
Or Guy Ritchie, maybe.
Yeah, it's very Guy Ritchie. It is very Guy Ritchie. They all kind of had the idea around the same time, like a bunch of early 2000s movies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Spider-Man, it makes a lot of sense to do that sort of thing because he's got his spider senses. You got to show I don't know, I guess it's sort of Matrix-y too. But,
sure. Yeah.
But yeah, stylistic, making it a point of style is more of a Guy Ritchie, Zack Snyder thing.
Yeah.
Than making it a function of simply showing you, giving you a sense of what it would be like to be Spider-Man or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we haven't actually said that much about the movie or what we thought about it. I think people kind of probably are beginning to get an impressionistic, like the photograph hasn't quite come into focus yet, maybe, but they're getting the picture, maybe, of what we thought of it. But do we recommend it or do we not? Folks, I'm just going to be honest. We're out of time today. We don't have another 3 hours to litigate everything that's important about this movie. We've got things to do. Jake's got kids. Ben's got a wife. I've got a wife. And I like the 2 hour plus episodes of Sanity at the Movies as much as anybody. My goal is always for the episodes to go longer than the movie, but we're going to have to do this one in chunks. So this was part 1. This was Don't Count on It, Sulzer. Next time it'll be part 2, The Age of Heroes, or something like that.
The Age of Sanity.
The Age of Sanity.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we'll get part 3, and then it'll have some portentous title. All right. What's one other observation we can give people about this movie? A minor observation to leave them with, to leave them hungry for more. A scene that you liked, a moment that you thought was dopey. I'll say mine to start. I thought some of the song choices were hilariously on the nose, especially the one where Lois Lane was putting some flowers on Superman's grave and there was some hipster indie song that was like, the God, he told us he would be alive, but now he's dead. It is really sad. And there was more than one song like that. Where,
there was a God song about Aquaman.
Yeah. Oh, the scene where Aquaman walked in slow motion into the waves was awesome. All right, that's my random observation. Ben, I need a random observation.
You need one, huh?
Yeah, we can't end this episode without a random observation about this movie.
I liked the dad stuff with Cyborg. It played. That actor made it work.
The old guy or
the old
cyborg?
Guy. Yeah, he made it work.
I thought it was a good way for Zack Snyder to do that without... he didn't bite off more than he could chew. Like, no. Zack Snyder couldn't actually do that story, so they found a nice...
they found a nice way to draw around it.
Yeah, exactly.
In a way that I was like, okay, that's credible enough.
Yeah, and there's some emotion when he sacrifices himself.
Yeah, just enough.
Yep. There you go. All right, Jake, observation?
Yeah, I like the way that they color in around both Cyborg and Barry Allen.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
I don't know. I like J.K. Simmons showing up everywhere in every possible multiverse movie.
Yep.
My headcanon is J.K. Simmons is like a watcher or something in both the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the DC Extended Universe, and so he's going to be Commissioner Gordon over here, and
I love that.
J. Jonah Jameson over there, and
let's get the man a role in Star Wars. Come on.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah,
he should be on that Jedi Council or something.
It's a pretty cool Commissioner Gordon.
He was. I wasn't quite able. He's the one that most looks like he's playing dress up of everyone.
Yep. Yeah, but I liked. It felt like I was in on the joke that J.K. Simmons is making a cameo here.
But it did feel like a joke. Like, it wasn't like there's
it's not like he's
Jordan.
Cast as Commissioner Gordon. No, he's making a cameo.
There's J.K. Simmons in a hat.
Exactly. This is a funny idea. Here's a fun person to throw at this.
He simply looks like J. Jonah Jameson, though. He always has. He looks like he walked out of the comic
He was
book.
born to play J. Jonah Jameson. Yeah. No, that guy's great.
That and do Liberty Mutual commercials or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Those two.
He is fantastic in that Whiplash movie, which
I've not seen it.
It's worth seeing. It's quite something. All right, there you go, folks. I'm sorry we don't have another hour or two's worth of observations for you today, but we'll have them.
Oh boy, will we have them? So we'll be back. And let's do our patron award of awesomeness. I don't want to forget about this. Ben, why is it that Keith is so amazing? What is it that makes him an exceptional being, better than most of us? I think it's his mastery of
Keiths.
What did you say?
Keiths.
Of Keiths?
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. I just had trouble understanding Jake.
The fact that Keith has mastered all other Keiths.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's the master of Keiths.
Well, in fact,
the Keith master.
There you go.
Well, I wasn't going to say it. Sort of like calling out Bruce Wayne, but
sort of. Except Keith.
Right.
Yeah, there's a big difference, Jake. Come on. One of them's Bruce Wayne.
Just when I think you understand, Jake.
Oh, guys, we haven't even talked about Jared Leto. There's so much more to talk about this movie. All right, well.
There is? Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be back. Hey, Keith, thank you for being a great patron. You are the Keith master. You're the master of Keiths. If you were anyone in this movie...
Do you be the Joker?
Yeah. Or Aquaman. Depends on what side of the bed you woke up on.
You pick.
Yeah.
Dark side.
Yeah. All right. I keep thinking of more things I want to say about this movie, but we can't. They had us to wait. All right. We're drawing this one out, folks. Bye.
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 Oh, until next time.
Oh, dear.